we have the pleasure of meeting with the math department at West High School in Salt Lake City Public Schools. My name is Edwin Javius. I'm the CEO President of Ed Equity. And today's outcome is that we're going to provide some facilitation skills as well as give you a snapshot of how PLCs could work within a high school department. Prior to really engaging in the PLC process, the facilitators, it's a critical learning that the facilitators support the team members by really differentiating what is a PLC and what is a department meeting. So one of the things I critically ask the facilitators that we work with across the nation is, prior to really engaging in PLCs, you have to really determine, this whole idea is, what is department meeting and what is a PLC, and PLC professional learning communities, and what are those outcomes? So as you start to just kind of developing your own norms, it is very critical that there is this transformation that needs to happen from here to there, from department to PLCs. And we know the critical part of professional learning community is moving from teaching to student learning. So teaching to student learning. And it's very important that we create that shift. So teachers in department meetings, especially at our secondary schools, do not have a facsimile of thinking that they're engaged in a PLC when they're actually doing a department meeting. And we know there are some critical elements in a department meeting that are very different from PLCs. One of the critical things that we know that in a department meeting in secondary, many of the information is informational. So part of the conversation becomes, what is the information that a teacher needs to do the work? As opposed to in a PLC, what are the important standards we need to teach? So as you start to make that critical shift from being in an informational meeting to a transformational meeting becomes very critical. And you can never be remiss by going back to your collaborative norms in PLCs and making that differentiation between department meetings and PLCs. Again, another critical part is PLCs is this whole use of common formative assessments, and commonly known as CFAs. That becomes the driving force of the PLCs, is designing common formative assessments. But what we have found across the nation, this becomes the most critical part of where professional learning communities get stuck. So one of the things I believe a facilitator needs to be critically aware of in this common formative assessment, there are various levels of common formative assessments that we currently use. And some of our common CFAs, common formative assessments, are grades, unit, tests, district benchmarks, observational data, and the list goes on. And you can use checking for understanding type of opportunities, thumbs up, and so on and so forth. So one of the things we have to demystify, that common formative assessment doesn't have to be formal. So as you look at some of your CFUs, checking for understanding, your observation data, your thumbs up, your quick sponge activities, that is another form of common formative assessments. So often than not in professional learning communities, we use the district benchmark as the common informative assessment, but actually it is really a summative. And what do I mean by summative assessment? It is the lapse in time from being able to check to see how the kids are doing is actually too long. So one of the things that we do in our PLC, in equity PLCs, we make a real concerted effort that the cycle of the PLC is between 2 to 3 weeks. That's where we would like for the teachers to be able to answer the 4 critical questions of professional learning community. And we know the 4 critical questions being, what do we want students to know? How do we know the students have learned it? Who are the students, or what do we do when the students don't learn it? And how do we extend the learning for those kids who have already gotten those concepts? So those 4 critical questions is going to be the foundation for the PLCs. And being able to use your formative assessment, your common formative assessments every 2 to 3 weeks becomes a critical piece. Again, this whole idea of using CFA is a real critical piece of the PLC. Again, another key learning that we learned not only at West High School in Salt Lake City, Utah, but across the nation, that there are some things that have to happen for it to be a highly functional PLC. And the number one thing that tremendously has to happen for highly functional PLC is that preparation prior to the meeting. The preparation prior to the meeting is that what are the materials that need to be brought to the meeting? And it becomes critical because since we are now transforming from informational to actually instruction, teachers need to bring materials that's going to support their instruction. So we make a strong push, and in our form we would like for the materials to bring is any curriculum that is going to be used to teach the following units, any pacing guides, any past assessments, any upcoming assessments, and grade book, and any other materials that's really going to support the teachers in answering those 4 questions. So as you start to really look at the subsequent video of a math department engaged in a PLC, you'll see that they have transformed their discussion from informational into talking about instruction, talking what is the kids are going to learn, what are the common formative assessments. When a kid doesn't get it, what do we do about it? And if the kids do have it, how do we extend it? So please take an opportunity to give some feedback on the video that you're going to see. But we really wanted to help the facilitators be able to front load this experience as well. It becomes tremendously key for the facilitators also, and you'll hear throughout the video my voice in terms of keeping the pace along. One thing that I believe a facilitator has to have is the trust within that group to really be able to ask for quality work. When you ask for quality work, your teachers will give you quality work. If you don't ask for quality work, they typically give you 1-word, 2-word answers, and that's not the quality that is going to really transform high school. So you'll see that I'll be pushing the teachers to really kind of give the quality work on the actual form and be explicit in the instruction. So again, thank you for the opportunity, and what you'll see now is the beginning of a PLC toward the end. If you notice that this PLC will only last about 20 minutes, so as we go deeper, 30 to 40 minutes in the POC that is very focused will get a lot of academic dividends. Thank you very much.
End of unit test. Yeah. I've stopped giving my students end of unit tests. They don't retain anything long enough. No, they don't. I give them common assessments frequently, and then I move on to the next topic. And I always come back and review. Always go back and pick up, you know, these are the questions.
How will we know when each student has learned it?
We're not even monitoring homework.
What type of homework as it relates to that standard? What type of homework are we going to be checking?
Right here.
I need that to be on the paper.
Yeah, I'm going to write it down.
And then adding and subtracting. Okay. So that's where I'm focusing on.
Let's talk about quizzes.
Students will be quizzed.
What type of quiz?
So you can give groups.
Let's see. So we have
Like I just did 1 and 2.
we have like your regular one, then you have this type, and then there's this one here.
Well, yeah.
There's
So
It's
anywhere from 2 steps to multiple steps.
okay,
Multiple step ratio problems,
and then using
and then using that skill to figure out size, missing number, missing parts,
Basically to solve the triangle.
geometric.
Oh, we got to make sure that they can set it up first, so that they know how. So I don't know if we want to quiz them on setup. And then, because this one is the sides, and then these ones are the angle. Oh, this one is probably the angle one.
So that would be like your summative of that idea. So this one was obviously not apparent, not any of those things, but they practiced how to find the distance and then how to find the slope. And then work up to, okay, now let's take that and prove something. So this could easily be worked into a quiz. So we could even take one of those versions that I have, and go ahead, you're fine. One of those versions that I have and develop it into one of our bubble quizzes. So we would just have to get our answer sheet and then come up with some possibilities. Because it's already 10 questions.
That'd be good for time.
So you can spend, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll introduce it one day and then the next week I'll introduce something else. I'll give a distance worksheets, another 10 questions to work on and then 10 of the new stuff.
Because we're going around
Cycles. So,
I like to do those activities because it does help me walk around and see who's getting what's going on.
Right.
And some students go through really quickly and some students don't know where to start. So you have to have really good control over the class when that happens. It's good because it lets you know who is getting it and who's not.
And those are usually done for your group work as well.
These were more review material, like just basic algebra.
She has great handwriting.
I know.
I did, because I have warm-ups that were here, and those were the ones that I took off of.
With us, that's like why I do
And they
the
go
group work,
clear
because then I
back to,
can work one-on-one and talk to them about it.
They're like this, and I just call it extra
we say
practice.
rational up here, but it doesn't matter, right?
So,
Well,
they're
I
not
would still say
specific
on
to
rational
examples,
functions.
they're more just general stuff, but I think if we did the same kind of thing, more specific.
Because it's hard for them to add fractions, and they can't understand rational functions if they don't understand the operations of the fractions.
What numbers?
Right, exactly. How will we respond when a student experiences
Multiple steps, which we can't assume they know.
Of course they don't. Not all. And it depends which feeder school they come from.
and the base? If they can't do something with rational functions, if they don't get the base.
How will we respond when a student experiences
Could I ask a question before you go to the next one? Are you guys going to bring back these quizzes the next time we meet?
Well, we'll probably be doing it already.
The results.
We'll bring back the results.
Okay.
one, you know,
a certain number
any
correct.
electrons at all.
Is there like a
Yeah, we're trying to solve.
on here or on the quiz?
On the
On the homework. So what I do is, because a lot of times they can finish everything in class, I do all the algebra in class, and they use that to kind of mirror what are the steps. They'll do the even numbers, some of them finish in class, and I skim through, make sure those answers are correct. Not I circle it, remember it back, and they go and fix it and come back. Or I talk about it. So, and even on the next day.
If you haven't done so, you should be on the third question. If you haven't done so, you should be on the third question.
Well, probably 4 out of 5.
Yeah, 4 to 5.
And then they should have, even the one they miss should be maybe arithmetic errors. They still have the concept.
And that's where a lot of the errors are.
If you haven't done so, you should be on the third question.
Even though those calculators sitting there, you know, and
If you haven't done so, you should be on the third question.
You know, I try to do it for the 2 or 3 students that I know are just brilliant.
I'll respond when students are significant in learning.
Well, we reach
Think about the prerequisite skills to that standard. Review what?
review and then we reach
Review what skill? What skill they're going to struggle with?
prerequisites for
Distributed property. There you go. What are the skills that?
multiplication, adding, subtracting, positive, negative.
You guys are cooking with gas over
We
there.
have to do that all the time. That's just a matter of, we just do it every day.
How's that explicitly going to look that you're going to reteach the prerequisite skills?
How's it going to look?
How is it going to look in the classroom? If you know that you give this quiz and the kids bomb, you have to reteach the prerequisite skills, what would that look like in the classroom?
Distributive property worksheet. Something like that. That would include, because you could double up on that, you could include the integers in that, right? Distributed.
Or I'll put some problems on the smart board and we'll work them together and then I'll have them work it individually and I'll walk
Because
over
they
them
just
and check.
are in a hurry and they just take the first number.
Keep going with that. You guys are cooking with gas over here.
And so that's something.
What would that explicitly look? Because about 40% of your kids are not going to get it.
This is one of the things where you really can't, I don't know that you can plan ahead for it, because you have to base it on the results.
But you have probably some idea from years of teaching.
Well, yeah, you have an idea. That's why we're going down the direction of distributed property, integers. Those are the common issues that we've seen in the past. But
That's probably going to be correct.
yeah,
Yeah, we've done this so many times that I don't think we even think about it.
So that's one of my issues, my extent or not extent.
We didn't left out a box here.
Yeah, we're still discussing.
We know what we're going to do to extend, but we're still discussing.
Okay.
So I guess review the formula. This one,
Think about the prerequisite skills to that learning
Yeah.
target. There you go.
this one, pluses and minuses on integers. Squares. Review, like negative times a negative is positive because some of them rely on that.
Have discussion about how that is going to explicitly look in the classroom. Okay? So when you're reteaching that prerequisite skill, walk us through what that would look like explicitly. And that should be recorded on the sheet.
I give them websites where they can go and explore the subjects in more detail.
I mean, you could.
And that's really what a lot of those websites are. Some are just games, some are more explanations into deeper understanding. So I do give them websites at the back of their notes.
I just do
Go and
cross
explore.
on things.
Okay. You got enough then?
Maybe a quick 10 questions using calendars or something like that.
I use money a lot.
Yeah.
Like you owe somebody
I do
too. I also say, okay, well, for the sports people, we've got a game where the positive team won 5 and the negative team won 8. So who won the game? No, the negative team, because they had more points, right? Well, how many?
Could I ask you a question? I don't mean to interrupt you. If someone from 7-Eleven picked up your document, right, just walked out of 7, you know my 7-Eleven test, right? Would they absolutely understand what was going on in the classroom by what you wrote? What would you need to do to put more meat on that so I can understand that?
Have more space.
There's a PDF thing. Actually, it's a PDF.
It'll be.
So if you can incorporate,
that's our language. We know what that means.
if you can incorporate make it more explicit, I appreciate that tremendously.
Right.
Because you're going to turn that in before we leave.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Relying on that.
I do that.
You do it occasionally, but the way they said it, that was the very first thing.
I go to the extra challenge problem first, and then I
Sometimes
because research says that the best way to remember something is to teach it.
And a lot of times they know who to go to. Sometimes those kids don't.
Joyce and Showers.
And ask, you know, the teacher, hey, do this. And hearing it from a student, even though it's the same thing I said, they get it better. And I'm like, I just said the same thing. And I'm like, okay, go ahead. He goes, well, I just wanted to ask. Okay. So yeah, it's. I mean,
We're done. It's been done for a while.
Okay, go ahead and put the department, the date. So I'll know that's you guys. Okay. Date. Who was in your group? Oh, you did that? Even though we did it backwards, what was your objective of sitting together? 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes. If you haven't done so, can you fill out where it says department and date, who attended in your group? And even though we're doing this backwards, can you give us what was the objective of you guys meeting? So we're filling out the actual form. Okay, what was your objective?
And he's in his own PLC here.
What is today, March 10th?
Yeah, he's teaching the 7th graders.
And they didn't know they could work together.
And you know what? The thing is, nice thing is when you do transformations, you can go back and talk about triangle congruence. Does that make sense?
See, this didn't even hurt. We did this in 12 minutes. And we have it on film, so we can...
We have proof.
We have proof.